happy Mother's Day. This month we've been exploring the ideas in Eileen Katie's book called Choosing to Love. And I thought this morning it would be appropriate to look at motherly love. What is that like? To me, I believe that motherly love is one of the purest and most giving forms of love that there is. Now, on the other hand, some school-age children were asked what is some of their ideas on what is a mother. And here are some of their answers. Why did God make mothers? Well, she's the only one that knows where the Scotch tape is. Think about it. It was the best way to get more people. God made mothers mostly to clean the house. And the last one, well, to help us get out of there when we were getting born. I was so privy yesterday. I had my Mother's Day celebration early. I was invited to go over to my son and daughter-in-law's home to visit with my new granddaughter, Adeline Riel, for heaven's sake. She's a month old. And so anyway, I got to go visit, and it was so great to hold her and to watch her cry, to try to bounce her and, give her what she needed at the time, to have her eyes open, seeing, for heaven's sake. But there's something about babies that just bring out that awness in us, that tenderness, that instinct to just want to smother them. Okay, now Gay, stop it. Smother them with our love. And to me, that loving energy is God, is that divine love that is universal. It is life itself. And that life itself, that loving energy, is always saying yes. And I'd like us to think this morning, we've known this, we've heard it time and time again, that we are made in the image and likeness of God. And of course here we take that word God and we put a slash mark after it, and then we put the word love. That we are made in the image and likeness of that love, of this divine giving love. And we know that this process of life is one that is ever moving forward. That it is always releasing the old and inviting and bringing forth the new. The evolutionary process, that's the way life works. And so I believe that the wisest of mothers, and we all, regardless of our gender, we all have that divine motherly instinct in us, that the wisest of mothers recognize that this is true in life. That we can't keep them as that tiny little baby that is just so dependent on me. And I was thinking of a song that comes up every once in a while in my playlist. I have it on random set, and it's one of the ones from Barbra Streisand. Now, I'm going to control myself. I'm going to do better this time. But the name of it is If I Could. It says, I'd protect you from the sadness in your eyes, give you courage in a world of compromise. I would if I could. I would teach you all the things that I've never learned, and I'd help you cross the bridges that I've burned. I would if I could. I would try to shield your innocence from time. But the part of life I gave you isn't mine. I've watched you grow so I could let you go. I would help you make it through the hungry years, but I know that I can never cry your tears. I can cry enough of my own. But I would if I could. I thought I put that hanky down too soon, huh? Oh, brother, where did I hide it? Good Lord. Okay, fine. And so I believe that this divine mother is continually and constantly birthing us. Remember, it is not separate from us. That is what we are. We have this divine energy within us. And so it is constantly encouraging us to be born again and again into the newness of life. And it's encouraging us to be creative in this newness of life. I called somebody the other day, and they answered doggy pristine poodles or something like that. I forget how they exactly said it, but something about, and I thought, oh my gosh, I've reached a business of some sort. And then I said her name that I was calling, and she goes, oh no, I just say that in case, because I didn't recognize the number that was coming up, so I just say that to set people off and see what they do. And I thought, how creative. How fun is that? And to me, that's what this divine energy is all about, is changing it up, is shifting it up a bit for us all the time. And so we have that divine mother within us that is encouraging us to step out, to do something different, to let go of the tricycle and let's try the bicycle. You know, all of those things that life is always encouraging us to do. Jesus, the master teacher, told us that we are to ask, we are to seek, we are to knock. We need to make that fundamental step, that fundamental request, and then what happens? Life responds. We are given. We find when we seek. And I'll just tell you a tiny little example. And the thing of it in life is that all of these things happen day in and day out. But to be aware of them and to recognize them and to honor them at the time, yes, yay. So here I am. I got invited yesterday morning to go out to breakfast with my son and daughter-in-law and Addie. So I got there at 9 o'clock, and of course, you know, she needed to be fed, she needed to be burped, she needed to be, you know, changed, and da-da-da-da. So we left for breakfast about 10:30, and they live in North Park. And so, of course, after the bag, it actually was a backpack. I thought that makes a lot of sense. The bag that they take is a backpack. That makes perfect sense. But it has to be, make sure that all the accoutrements are in there, whatever we need. Oh, we got this, we got that. We check off the list, and everything's in there. So by the time we finally got the little baby in the car seat, in the car, and we drove about 5 blocks to the restaurant. And so we drive by the restaurant, because, well, that's the one we're going to. I said, okay, fine. And then he turns a corner, and we're in North Park. And he says, oh, now here comes the challenge, finding a parking place. And I said, oh, well, we've just got to call on the parking angels. You know, the parking angels, you're on duty now. I no longer got the words out of my mouth. Then sure enough, he goes, oh, here's one right here. I said, see, we just need to call on the parking angels, and they know that they're on duty. He said, well, why didn't you do that when we drove past the restaurant in front of it, Mom? I said, well, you know, I'm sorry, I was a little tardy. I didn't think about it right then. But life responds to us. It wants to give us what we are requesting, but we need to be the ones to ask. This love is unconditional. It will say yes to whatever we ask. And I was having a conversation with someone the other day, and they were saying, yeah, you got to be careful of what you ask for because you just might get it. I said, let's change that out. That when you use that word, be careful of what you ask for, it has that connotation that, you kind of hold your breath there for, that something bad could happen. So let's change out that languaging and say, let's be aware of what we're asking. All the difference in the world. Let's be aware of what it is that I'm asking. So many times we go into default in our belief systems. In our teaching, we believe that our beliefs are monumental in our experience. And so many times our beliefs are hidden down in our subconscious. And I was so privy to be a participant in the graduating class that Reverend Dr. Marilyn is having in their oral exams that they did this last week for their graduation process. And where was I going with that? So it was interesting to just listen to there's the three graduates, come up with this notion that our subconscious are those things that we're not really aware of consciously, and so that it behooves us to clean and cleanse and dig down. And that, I guess that's the mother cleaning the house. Or where all of us, part of our motherly nuance is to clean out this subconscious that has gathered up stuff through the years and to let it go. Part of that divine process is to cleaning it up. The other item, though, that I was thinking is to be aware. So, okay, a lot of times I've got this stuff in my subconscious that I'm not even aware of. And sometimes it can trip me up. It's a belief that I'm unconscious of that's really maybe not the truth. So I forget where it was. I read it, a few months ago now, and it really resonated with me. And I thought, rather than being concerned about what's in my subconscious, what if I got buried in there that I got to get rid of that's, could harm me? How about if I indicate to the fact that I love what's in my subconscious? Whatever's in my subconscious is there to support me. It's there to build me up. And granted, some of the things in our subconscious are things that we would evaluate as imperfections, not as good. That's one of the eternal pitfalls, I think, of being human, is assessing the fact that we aren't enough. We aren't strong enough, we aren't good enough, whatever. And I wanted to read to you the wisdom of Sanana Roman. I'm not sure who she is, but this is her quote. Love all of what you call your imperfections. You don't change them by denying or hating them. You change them by loving them. As you love your negative feelings, they can evolve into their positive expressions. Love all your thoughts, even those that are limited and fearful. Think of them as small children needing your love and reassurance. How does that feel when you bring up that fear and you bring up that questioning? Acknowledge it. Know it's there. Don't bury it. If you put it under the rug, you're going to trip on it. So you bring it out in the open and then you love it. You say, okay, that's part of me that had that thought. I was talking to a friend yesterday, and in her life experiences, she has observed that through the years, she has held herself back of doing things that many of us would feel like no big deal. Going someplace that she's never been to by herself. She would hold herself back. No, I'm not sure. How am I going to get there? Very tentative in that regard. Well, she was telling us how she was so thrilled because she stepped out of her comfort zone and actually drove herself somewhere she had never been before. She arrived in perfect order and perfect timing. All these friends were there, and she was like, yes, I did it! Yay! She was, she was so happy. And we were all happy for her because she had stepped out of her comfort zone. And I'll have to tell you that she was doing it based on some information that she gathered from something here at the church. So recognize and remember and honor yourself that I can step out of my comfort zone. I have within me and all around me, remember, just pull out those angels that are supporting me, that are loving me, that are encouraging me. Something kept telling me I wanted to share this with you this morning. And I pulled out my copy of Khalil Gibran's The Prophet. And I wanted to share with you what it reads here. And a woman who held a babe against her bosom said, "Speak to us of children." And he said, "Your children are not your children. They are the sons and daughters of life's longing for itself. They come through you, but not from you. And though they are with you, yet they belong not to you. You may give them your love, but not your thoughts, for they have their own thoughts. You may house their bodies, but not their souls, for their souls dwell in the house of tomorrow, which you cannot visit, not even in your dreams. You may strive to be like them, but seek not to make them like you. For life goes not backward nor tarries with yesterday. You are the bows from which your children as living arrows are sent forth. The archer sees the mark upon the path of the infinite, and he bends you with his might, that his arrows may go swift and far. Let your bending in the archer's hand be for gladness. For even as he loves the arrow that flies, so he loves also the bow that is stable. We all have that interplay in life. Whether we've physically given birth to a child or not, we have all played that role of parenting, of mothering another individual in some way or another. And so let's today and going forward honor and recognize this divine love that is within us and know that it is this divine guidance. It wants to spur us on to newness for something fine. As I was watching my son hold Addie, and it seems like everything's fine, and she's still crying, and you just say, shh, you're fine, you're okay. Allow yourself to nurture yourself that way. Granted, you may feel like crying. Happens to the best of us. But remember that this love is supporting us at all times. This love always wants us to do our best, and we have to trust it. We have to call upon it. We have to rely upon it to bless us, to guide us. We all have this divine mother within us, eagerly giving us what we have need of. And it's giving us that strength to step out of our comfort zone. Time and time and time again. We are all on this evolutionary path. Remember to let the past go, to step boldly into the future. Oh, I'm going to go Star Trek now. It takes commitment. It takes a discipline. It takes an awareness to know that I am so divinely loved and that I want that love to spill out from me, through me, as me. So play with your creativity this coming week. Know that this infinite love is ready to play, is ready to be boundless. is supporting us in all that we do. We can never, ever, ever be alone. Whatever it is that you have an inkling, you all, I know you. You all have an inkling within you. A little tiny whispering that says, I wonder if only. That is your divine seed. That is your divine mother. Trust her. Lean on her. Ask for her guidance. Say, okay, let's do it. And yeah, I might skim my knee. You're never ever going to be this infinite being unless you try, unless you let go, unless you trust, unless you allow this divine being to rejoice joyfully and lovingly, experiencing life through you. Happy Mother's Day. Namaste.